This video is going to talk about solver. There are some problems that formulas just can't crack. One of these is solving questions that need trial and error guesswork. In most Excel spreadsheets, you begin with a set of data and use formulas to analyze that data and come to conclusions. When you create plans and projections, however, you sometimes invert this process and start with the conclusions. You may begin with a profit projection and calculate backward to find out the sales you need to make. Excel helps you solve such issues using goal-seek scenario and solver. Goal-seek works well for simple problems, but it does have a few limitations. Excel doesn't recognize what you may think of as a common sense limit in your data. If you were looking to figure out the assignment grade required to get a final grade of 100, Excel would tell you you'd need a score of 113, even though a grade over 100% clearly isn't possible. Excel adjusts only one cell in goal-seek. There is no way to ask the goal-seeking tool, for instance, to predict the minimum grade combination you'd need on the two tests to get a particular final grade. Therefore, we're going to look at solver. And every problem that solver is capable of solving contains the same basic ingredients: objective cell, changing cells, and constraints. Objective cell is also known as the target cell. The objective cell is the value to optimize, or that is what we are trying to achieve. This is essentially our goal. And as with goal-seek, there is only one objective cell at a time. However, a specific numeric goal for the objective cell needs to be set in goal-seek. Instead, in solver, the target value can be as large or as small as possible. Changing cells. These cells contain values that solver modifies in order to reach the target. Unlike goal-seek, solver can designate multiple changing cells. Solver tries to adjust them all at once and get the most significant factors. Finally, constraints. Constraints are rules that are used to restrict possible solutions. Apply constraints to the changing cell values only. Solver is an Excel feature that goes several steps further than goal-seek. It uses the same basic trial and error approach, but it's dramatically more intelligent than goal-seek. In fact, it needs to be more intelligent because it tackles much more complicated problems, including scenarios that have multiple changing cells, additional rules, and cell relationships. Solver can suggest an optimal investment portfolio based on a desired rate of return and risk threshold. Solver is an add-in that you have to turn on the first time you use it. So for those of you who are not familiar with how to turn on add-ins, simply go to the File menu. Under Options, go to Add-ins, and in that, click on Analysis Tool Pack. Under Manage Excel Add-ins, click Go, and ensure that Solver add-in is checked and click OK. So now let's look at an example to better understand solver. Consider what happens when a new student named Surabhi is added to the class. This student has missed the first test, and as a result she has received a score of 0 in it. She wants to know what grades in the second test and the assignment she needs to get in order to guarantee a final grade of 70%. So this is my test A score, test B score, and assignment score for all the students in the class. And this is the final grade, which has essentially come out of 26 divided by 40, 26 divided by 35, and 50 divided by 100. And test A is worth 25%, test B is worth 25%, and the assignment is finally 50% of the total grade. So notice that I have already input the formula in the final grade column for all the students. So we just need to be able to calculate the score for test B and the assignment so that she can get a score of 70% in the final grade. After clicking on F11, which is my target cell, I'm going to go to the data menu, and in that, under analysis, I'm going to click on solver. Once that is done, another window will pop up. It's called solver parameters. The first criteria that we need to fill out is the objective criteria, which in this case would be cell F11, because that is where the final grade is going to be displayed. So I have simply clicked on it. Then the next criteria is 2, in which I'm going to click on value of, and here I'm going to type in 0.7 because that translates into 70%. Once that's done, then I would like to specify my variable cells, which essentially would be these two cells, because based on the values in these cells will determine what Surabhi will get in this particular cell, which is her objective cell, the target cell, or the final grade. Then finally, I'm going to add my constraints. So how can I do that? I'm going to click on this particular toggle button, which is add. Another window will pop up. This is the add constraint window. Under cell reference, I'm going to go ahead and click on test B empty cell, which is D11, because that is the cell which will display the score that she needs to get. But notice that the total score for test B is 35, so she possibly cannot get a score greater than 35 in test B. And the total score for the assignment is 100, so she possibly cannot get a score of 101 or anything more than 100. So therefore, in this drop down, I'm going to specify less than equal to, and in constraint, I'm going to specify 35, or I'm simply going to click on this cell, which is D14. Because I want to add another constraint, I'm going to click on add. Once I do that, again, I'm going to go back to the assignment cell, because that's the second variable cell. And again, the score for assignment should be less than or equal to 100. So 100 would be my constraint, and that is specified in cell E14. So I'm going to click on that. Once that is done, then let's just click OK. So here you have your objective cell, your variable cells, and the constraints. And now I'm going to click on solve. It'll just take a minute to solve, and just simply go ahead and click OK. Now look here. You have the scores for test B and assignment. She needs to score 35 out of 35 in test B and 90 out of 100 in the assignment in order to get a 70% score. So clearly Excel's GoalSeek tool can't tackle this problem. Not only is it unable to change two cells at once, but it doesn't even heed any upper limits. So clearly we need to use the function solver to get to this result. Hope this was useful.
This video was brought to you by CXO Learning Academy, a premier learning initiative by CXO Math. For any queries, you can email us at learning@cxomap.com. Thank you.